Welcome back to the Ball Knowers podcast with Jack Keating. Today we're going over the NBA award predictions from MVP, Rookie of the Year, Depoy, Coach of the Year, Most Improved, all NBA teams, all rookie teams, all defensive teams, all of it from start to bottom. We're doing them all. So, it's a packed show, no doubt about it. I'm running the one-man weave today. Unfortunately, I actually already recorded this podcast. We had an audio issue, so I have to now re-record it, this time solo. I had a guest on. You'll probably see him on at some point in the future, but that's for a later date. So honestly, there's not much time to waste here. We can actually, let's talk a little bit about the play-in games we saw last night before we get into our awards picks. We saw Charlotte beat Miami in an overtime, basically game buzzer beater, almost game winner by LaMelo when he drives in with the right hand, makes a layup over Jaime Jaquez, and sends Miami Heat. Their season ends with a Bam Adebayo injury potentially could have saved their season, but he gets hurt in the game, and unfortunately their season ends, and we see Charlotte move on to they'll play the loser of the Sixers Magic tonight. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully we see the Magic lose because I really don't want to see them in the playoffs. I'm kind of tired of watching them this season. Just kind of want that nightmare season to end for them. And then on the West Coast, we saw the Trailblazers beat the Suns. Just a great game from Denny Advia. The Trailblazers just kind of beat them down a little bit. Not enough shots from Devin Booker. He took like 15, 16 shots. I know Dylan Brooks didn't shoot too many. It was a lot of guys didn't really have a big impact. A lot of their bench guys, high minutes and not a lot of points and things like that. I wasn't really loving what I saw from the Suns. I'm kind of surprised they lost. I picked them to win that one. But yeah, I'm interested to see tonight. We have the Warriors Clippers. I'll have the Clippers win that one, and then like I said, Sixers Magic. I'll have the Sixers. I'll have the Hornets beating the Magic afterwards, and I think I'll have Clippers Suns. Give me the Suns, I think. I'll take the Suns there. I think they're just a little bit better. Although the Clippers have been pretty hot down the stretch of this second half of the season, I think I'll go with the Suns. Clippers just a lot of problems on that roster at the moment. Too many guys they traded away. It's kind of surprised they even made the playoffs. But I don't want to waste any more time. I'm trying to make this a quick podcast, maybe an hour and a half at the most, because if I'm doing solo, I don't want to yap for forever, right? I'm not trying to yap your ear off. So let's just get right into it. I was trying to think, how am I going to format the show? Do I want to start all NBA first? Do I want to start MVP first? I think I'm just going to go MVP at the top of the show. It's just most interesting to me, and my favorite player is who is winning it in my eyes, and that's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. My second place is Jokic. My third place is Victor Wembanyama. But I think Shai kind of ran away with this one. I already know some of the votes came in, about 15 or so far, maybe a little bit more, maybe 20 at this point. And Shai is not unanimous, although a lot of Thunder fans I know were hoping that he would be. But I know he is not. Jokic already has a handful of votes. I saw Wemby got a vote from Kevin O'Connor. Don't love that vote. I think it's a very questionable vote, but I can get into that maybe a little bit later. We'll see. But this Shai season, I really feel like was one of the greatest guard seasons, one of the greatest seasons at all, really, that we've ever seen. Extreme efficiency on very high volume. He averages 31, 4, and 6 this season, 66.5 true shooting. They went 56 and 12 when he played. I'm going to throw a lot of advanced stats, some more rudimentary basic stats at you guys. There's just a lot of stuff. Here's one that can really, any kind of viewer can really understand this one. He has the second highest true shooting percentage of any 30-point per game scorer of all time, just behind 2016 Steph, who, unanimous MVP, arguably greatest season of all time, whatever. He has the fewest turnovers from any 30-point per game scorer of all time. That is insanity. The guy was averaging 2 turnovers a game on... he has the ball. He's bringing the ball up almost every single play when he's on the court. And if he's not bringing the ball up, I guarantee you he's getting a touch on that play. And he's typically taking the shot or passing it out for the shooter. I feel like this was probably the best on-ball scoring season that we've ever seen. It's up there with Jordan 91 seasons maybe. And 20-point per game streak that he continued on. He broke the Wilt Chamberlain record for consecutive 20-point per game scoring games in a row. He had all 68 games this season. He had 20 points per game. Same with last season where he played, 78 games, something like that. He had all 20 point per game in that one as well. He shot 60% on 2-pointers this season. And this part's even crazier. So, just if you're driving, maybe pull over when I say this part. 68% field goal percentage when he's on the road. 68. That is insanity. 68%. Like, 60% to begin with is insane. That's better. The guy that I always bring up when I talk about this, Shaquille O'Neal never had a season with 60% from the field. That's how good and efficient Shai is. He's more efficient than what some people consider to be the most dominant player, or at least center, of all time. Especially a guy who's always at the rim, dunking on everybody, breaking backboards and rims and all this stuff. He was more efficient than him at the rim. Like, how is that even possible? As a 6'6" guard. On 15 attempts a game. He's the best mid-range shooter in the league this season, shooting like 55% or so from mid-range. I think it might have been even higher than that. And we're talking about clutch as well. This is the most clutch player in the league, kind of year after year now at this point. He's really cemented himself in that spot, and there's no argument at all. He is, like, I guess maybe Steph Curry, but like those clutch moments are not as often with that team anymore. I mean, this Warriors team, quite frankly, isn't good, especially after Jimmy Butler went down. Like I said, greatest clutch season of all time. He didn't play in 26 fourth quarters this season because his team was blowing guys out, and largely because of him. He is the whole offense on this team many times, especially when J-Dub missed 40, 50 games this season. Certainly more than 40. I don't have all those numbers down, but I mean, J-Dub missed 2/3 of the season, and even when he was playing, he was starting to get into a role for most of those weeks when he did play. They went 18-1, 19-1 in the first 2 months without J-Dub. And largely because of Shai just backpacking this team early on. But anyway, so he didn't play 26 fourth quarters. You would think, no way, he leads the league in clutch points, right? Oh, he does. He does. Leads the league in clutch points. And not only leads the league, has the most of all time in a single season since the stat's been tracked, on the best efficiency that we've ever seen in the clutch, of course. Third in points per game created, so the points he scores and the points that he assists, and largely because he was second in points per game, but he has very low assists. You would think maybe a guy like Luka, Jokic, things like that would be higher. Maybe Cade would be higher than him, but so many of his assists are kickouts to the corner, kickouts to the wing. A lot of his assists are to the 3-point because he drives in, and almost every time, at least two bodies, usually 3, 4, 5, are in the paint waiting for him to they all need to be there to try to stop him, and so he just kicks out to the wide open man. Oftentimes, Lou Dort, Casey Wallace 3 that they Caruso as well, the worst shooter in the league this season, are among them, especially from the corner. One of those 3 typically bricked it, but you have Isaiah Joe. The trade for Jared McCain was amazing. AJ Mitchell was a great shooter as well. Even like Chet J-Dub. Plenty of good shooters on this team, no doubt about it. But a lot of guys were struggling this year, and I think he could have averaged probably 7 assists. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him at one point average closer to 8 assists if we can get more reliant shooters on this team. But maybe that's wishful thinking. I really think that there's more levels for Shai to step up to, no doubt about it. His second straight season with a top 5 plus minus all time. So, 2 of the most positive, impactful seasons we've ever seen happened last year and this year for Shai. The other 2 are 2 Steph seasons and a Draymond season, I believe, from like the mid 2010s. Like any other I'm trying to think of and I have a couple other things here that I didn't even say. He was the first. I don't really care about that one. A plus 10 on off swing. Like a plus 16 net rating on the court. It's so impactful. And even when he was out, this team, you really, really saw it. They were struggling heavily on offense. AJ Mitchell's a great offensive player, and a sneak peek, I will be talking about him later. But the impact is not like. Nobody can fill Shai's shoes, and even when you have another All-NBA guy like Chet on this team and an All-NBA guy last year in J-Dub, those guys are great, no doubt about it. Nobody's saying they're not. But Shai's impact on offense and defense as well is severely missed when he's not out there. And he really, really carries this team. There's so many other great defenders that, like everyone says, he doesn't have to be the best or second best, third best, usually even the fourth best defender on the court at times because there's so many loaded defenders on this Thunder roster. But that offense when he's gone, it is massive shoes to fill that really nobody in the league is able to. The other two candidates, I said, I'm really only going to talk about my winners for the most part, but I'll shout at the other guys. I have Jokic as my second one. Although he missed about a month or so, and then even the month afterwards, he was pretty inconsistent, especially for his standards. I feel that he was more impactful than and more valuable than Wemby for the Nuggets. Jamal Murray had a great season with and without Jokic, but I feel like Jokic had his best season, and it's kind of crazy that he won't even be rewarded for it, most likely. But I feel like Jokic had a huge offensive impact this season. He was really, really dominant, especially for the first half of the season. He was my MVP for the first 3 or 4 months of the season until Shea took him over. And that was even before the injury. It wasn't just because of the injury that Shea won this award. It was really close to the first few months. I just felt like Jokic was like truly, truly dominant. And Wemby, no doubt about it. I mean, he's the best defensive player in the sport. Everyone, like, what else is there to say about Wemby's defense? Just watch a single game and you can make your own, assumptions as to how good he can be and how good he is already. But Wemby was amazing. I just feel like the minutes was a big thing. He had massively fewer minutes than Shea. And I feel like just the offense, I don't think it was consistent enough for me, especially down the stretch of the season. He really started to turn it up, putting up 40 points per game and 25, 29 minutes often, but not even averaging 30 minutes. I think for him to be second, because it's really tough to pass Jokic or Shea if both of them are going to be eligible for 65 games. It's going to be really hard to pass them at any point in the next year or 2 or 3 years. But I think he would have to probably pass 30 minutes or play considerably over 65 games or have another leap on offense, which I don't think is unforeseen at all. I kind of almost expect that to happen next season. I think Wemby very well might be a 30-point per game scorer sooner than later. But for right now, I need to see that happen before I, concretely say he is my MVP or even second place, because I decently comfortably had, I very comfortably had Shea 1. I decently comfortably had Jokic 2. Wemby very comfortably number 3, especially if Luka is not eligible for 65 games. I'm still very curious as to what's going to happen with that. We can move on right along. Let's move on to Depoy, which I kind of already highlighted a lot of the stuff, but I can get more into the advanced specific stats here for Wemby. The worst team in the league on offense, the Brooklyn Nets, shot, I believe it was a 52 or 53% at the rim this season. So, it was a efficiency field goal percentage of 52 or 53, right? EFG. Wemby holds the opponents to, I believe it was 48%. So that means that when Wemby's on the court, he's holding opposing offenses, regardless of the team, to worse than the biggest tanker in the league. He's holding them to the tankiest of tank levels of offense. That's how good and impactful he is. If he doesn't win unanimous Depoy, there's something wrong with the voting, and that's coming. I love Chet. I really feel like Chet deserves a Depoy at some point in his career, but man, Wemby was just spectacular this season, and to think it's only year 3, oh my goodness. How high is the ceiling? The ceiling is the roof, as Jordan once said. And he might go right through the roof, honestly. I don't know if Wemby has a defensive ceiling. It feels like you could put him out there 1v5 on defense, and he would still get stops. There's players on offense who are completely having to change the way that they play game by game. They play any 28 other team in the league, and then they play the Spurs the next night. And if you see this game versus this game, it is a different play style because they have to attack the rim differently. They have to take their shots differently. Everything about the way that they go about the game is affected because of Wemby. It's actually spectacular to watch. It really is art form in sports. A few other stats though. He had a -9 defensive field goal percentage on all of his shots, -9.2% at the rim. They have a -9 relative defensive rating. So like I said, they're holding teams to 9% or 9 points worse than they typically score, which is just unbelievable. And the Spurs and the Thunder have the greatest defense this season all time since the 60s Celtics with Bill Russell, who's the greatest defender of all time. Except with the Thunder case, like I mentioned, Chet, Ihart, both great defenders, down low. Jay Will was a great defender this season too. He had a big step up, and plenty of the all the wing defenders they have. You could name 7 different players. The Spurs have Stephon Castle is amazing, no doubt about it, and they have specific decent defenders. Jalen Harper was a plus this season, and a few other guys. Wembanyama is so impactful that it really is him that is the reason that they have that stat. When he's off the court, they're still a great team. But you can massively feel the difference when Wemby plays a game, or even when he's just on the bench for a few minutes, versus when he's on the court. For his few minutes he plays, he averages 29 minutes a game, and he's still arguably, you could argue he's the most impactful player in the league. I wouldn't say it, but you could very much so argue that. And man, Wemby's season was it was so fun to watch. Every game I could tune into, I really wanted to, and I really tried to. I watched probably 40 plus Spurs games this season. I mean, I'm in college. I can't watch every single game. But, I watched as many games of every team as I can this season, and the Spurs in particular were one of my highest watched teams. They're just so, so fun. As a Thunder fan, I'm really... I'm hoping we don't have to face them in the conference finals, but as a basketball fan, I kind of hope that we get to see that series happen because, man, that might be an all-time series. And to think that both of those teams are still so young, there's probably... You'd have to imagine at least 3 or 4 more times they'll see each other in the playoffs. This might be an all-time rivalry in the late 2020s, early 2030s, really the entire 2030s, because both these teams should stay, their core should stay intact. Their top 3 to 5 guys should all be on the Spurs and Thunder for the long foreseeable future, regardless of expansion or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, Wemby is just the example that I always come into my head is Darius Garland on the corner. He pumps fakes a 3. Wemby jumps for it. And Darius Garland's one of the quickest players in the league. The first step, almost nobody can stay with him. And he just blitzes right by Wemby. You would think there's not a chance in the world that he could even imagine at trying to get to this ball. And he even does a reverse layup on the other end of the opposite corner, right? The opposite side of the basket to make it even harder for Wemby to get. There's no way at this point he catches him. That's so far. He lands, turns around, takes 2 steps, and he blocks. So imagine this is the rim. All right, Darius Garland's here. He's running over here, and he tries to lay it up on this side. Wemby's also here. He trails him, puts his hand through the net, and blocks him on the other end. That's how good he is. What? Who does that? How is that even possible? Who even thinks to do that? Wemby is just one of the most fun watches in basketball. If you don't watch the NBA, okay, teach their own. Watch a Spurs game and then come back to me and tell me that you don't like the NBA still. I will tell you that opinion will change. Let's take a quick break and we can keep moving on with our next few awards. All right, this next award, this one is tough. Rookie of the Year. So honestly, I even at this exact moment, I'm still back and forth on it. I'm actually making my decision literally as I'm saying this. So a few weeks ago, all right, let me backtrack a little bit. The candidates are top 3: Cooper Flagg, Con Knipple, and the third spot, I really want to say Dylan Harper. I know his stats are significantly worse than VJ Edgecombe's, points, rebounds, assists, but he wasn't starting. So VJ was, and Dylan Harper wasn't. He went to a better team, so he wasn't able to start. But the efficiencies, shooting, I believe it was 50, 90, or sorry, not 50, 50, 90. It was close to that as a rookie. That's just unbelievable stuff. You don't ever see that from a rookie, and let alone a point guard. You never see that from a point guard, especially, what is he, 19? What the hell? So Dylan Harper is amazing. I said it pre-draft. I said it the first few games I saw of him at Rutgers. He's going to be a future All-Star. I'm really, really confident in that. I think if I'm the Spurs, I would even consider him being my starting point guard next season. I think he's that good. And he's shown to be that good already as a defender, as an offensive player, as a playmaker, as a shooter. He just dissects the game and really reads it so well. I think I would go VJ Edgecombe as my third, though, just because I feel like the highs were a little bit higher. Opportunity certainly goes into that. And maybe if you swap this positions, Dylan Harper has an even better season. Who knows? Pointless argument. But VJ, I really only wrote down stuff for Cooper Flagg and Connor Knipple for the most part, but VJ's highs this season, I feel like he had at least one 40-point game or at least close to it. I feel like he was regularly, especially early on, like the first half of the season or so, having massive games, like kind of regularly, especially in the clutch. He very quickly early on in the season proved to be kind of one of the top clutch players in the league, and especially a guy that they could consistently go to on the Sixers as a rookie. Especially, they have a Tyrese Maxey, one of the most clutch players in the league. Everyone agrees on that. Joel Embiid, one of the most clutch players in the league. Paul George, one of the more clutch players in the league as well. So like they have guy after guy after guy that they can go to. Instead, they're going to a rookie, and he's working. He hit multiple game winners this season, So VJ was awesome. I liked him coming into the draft. I didn't know how good he was going to be. Like, I knew he was an athletic freak and everything, but maybe I just didn't watch enough of him in college. But like, he really impressed me this season. I'm excited to see what comes out of him and Tyrese Maxey as a duo moving forward, because the Sixers have a nice little future move in. I really wish they didn't. I mean, as a Thunder fan, I'm happy they did it, but I really wish they didn't trade Jared McCain, because I think he would be the perfect six man for for those starting two. And man, that guard trio could have been just so dangerous for the future. One of them needs a breather, and you put in Jared McCain. Like, that's a killer trio. And I'm still really high on McCain's, ability to get back to what he looked like as a rookie. Will he? We'll see. Especially as on the Thunder, it might be a few years out for him to really get the opportunity to show that again. But I think he could be a very impactful player down the line for the Thunder, or maybe an expansion team, whatever team he's on. A few years, even like 2030, I think is a very realistic time that he's probably a starter and like a very plus starter. But I've also been high on him since day one, so maybe I'm a little bit biased. I'm just yapping just to try to delay my decision here. So let me break down the cases for both, and then I'll give you my pick. So you have Cooper Flagg, first overall pick on the Mavericks. Really was this entire team. It was him. The rest of this team, quite frankly, is very bad. There's a lot of bad players, a lot of injuries, so a lot of tanking going on. It was just some ugly basketball going on in Dallas. The 28th overall offense this season, ugly. And quite frankly, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. They were the 28th ranked offense with him on the court and with him off the court. So, the impact, you decide what it is. He led his team in points, rebounds, assists, and steals, the first rookie to do that since Michael Jordan. He was second in blocks as well. That is, like, what? I mean, if he's not on this team, I can't even imagine what what the Mavericks record would have been. I don't even want to imagine. And yes, he was very inefficient. I mean, he is a 19-year-old. He's supposed to be in college this season. He reclassed a couple of years ago. So that certainly goes into it as well. Like, he's been playing up a year for a very long time now. But this Mavs team was just not very good. And he, especially down the stretch, I mean, the last few weeks, he had I think it was back-to-back, in the 3 games in a row, he put up 49, 51, and 41, if I have all those 3 numbers correctly. Like, 41 points, 51 points, 49 points. What the hell? Who does that as a rookie? Like, that's not possible, right? Like, that, nobody does that. He has the 2 highest scoring games as a rookie of all time. What? So, and I've seen a lot of discourse around, all right, let me get to cons before I make my decision. I think I already know, I guess kind of spoiled my decision, but I think I know what I'm going to do. But Con Knipple also really, really impressed me this season. I did not expect him to be this good. I don't think anybody did, but I wasn't really a huge fan of him coming out of college. I thought he was going to be good. I thought he was going to be more than a 3-point specialist. I didn't think he was going to be some like Duncan Robinson or like anything like that. Like I didn't think he was just going to be like a pure like AJ Green type. You know what I'm saying? But I thought that he was going to be like more well-rounded than that. But I just didn't know how good he could really be. And he blew my expectations completely to past the moon, past the solar system. Like, I don't even know where it's at this point, but Con Knipple could be really, really good. He led the league in 3 points made as a rookie. Let me say that again. He led the league in 3 points made as a rookie. That, what? It's hard to do that on 2K, let alone in real life. Like, how is that, what? And then LaMelo, his teammate, was second in threes. Like, what? This team, I mean, man, the Hornets were, I have my favorite team to watch award, and I'll just award it now. It's the Hornets. They were my favorite team to watch this season, especially in the second half of the season. specifically the second half of the season. They were the third greatest offense of all time with the LaMelo, Con Knipple, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, Moussa Diabate lineup. The third best offense ever. I'm excited for what their next season might look like, because if you remember, if you are a loyal Ball Knowers podcast watcher, I had the Hornets as my 10 seed going into the season. They reached the 10 seed, so shout out to me. We're not going to talk about how I had the Pelicans as my other 10 seed, but we'll move right past that. So yeah, Con Knipple, the most efficient 18-point per game rookie season we've ever seen. The third player to take 600 threes and make 43% of them. Steph and Duncan Robinson were the other two. That's why I brought up Duncan Robinson. The fifth best plus minus by a 15-point per game rookie ever. There's multiple other stats I could read you, but he made the most three-pointers in the league at an extremely high clip, at an extremely high efficiency. I think you could very easily, and probably I think it's probably a mostly agreed upon opinion. He is the second best shooter in the NBA. Again, let me say, he is a rookie. So on the two hands, you have one dude who is his entire team. He fills the stat sheet from top to bottom. If he's not there, I don't even know. His team might have averaged 40 points a game, which I guess is not true because they were the same ranked offense. But he was doing everything for his team when he's out there. On the other hand, you have a guy who actually contributed to real winning. The Hornets turned their season around completely, and once they put in Moussa Diabate, they started on multiple big winning streaks. They actually stormed up the rankings. They were almost a playoff team, let alone just a play-in team. They got close to making the top 6. That has to stand for something. I mean, he was the second best offensive player on a playoff team, potentially. I'm going Cooper Flagg though. It was so close for me back and forth, and I had Con Knipple with about a month or so left in the season. I had him for probably about a month or so at that point. I had Cooper Flagg for the first up until January, let's say, from beginning to January, and then I was on Con from like late January to February or so. It might have even been more. It might have been beginning of January to February for me for Con. It was really close at that point. I was back and forth almost daily. And then just the way that they both closed out the season, Con closed out the season honestly pretty poorly. His efficiency dropped massively. I think his true shooting dropped by 14%, maybe even more. His points dropped by 6 or so. It was the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season. Whereas Cooper Flagg, like I said, he closed out the season as how else could he I guess he could have dropped 100, but there's not much better he could have done. He had the 2 best or highest scoring, at least, rookie games ever, right? And then he had another 40 ball on top of that. I just think he closed out the season so well, and that really left a lasting impression on my brain. This was so close though. I mean, I absolutely understand the argument for having Con, and I absolutely understand the argument for having Cooper Flagg. It's very different arguments. And I've seen a lot of people saying, this isn't just an award about who's going to be better in the future, because obviously it's going to be Cooper Flagg. He's very well might be All-NBA next season. But, I just think that it's so tough, man. I really, really wish they could just do co-Rookie of the Years, which I know is cringe. It's a cop-out answer. Whatever. I don't care. They both deserve it absolutely this season. I'm going Cooper Flagg, though. I just think, and I brought this up in the podcast that will never get posted, and I said this is a dumb way to look at it, but if you swapped their roles, obviously Cooper Flagg is not a very good three-point shooter, so he would not be good in the three-point specialist role that Con is in. But if you put Con on the Mavericks, I don't think that he is able to lead his team in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. Right? I think Cooper Flagg is so multifaceted. He's a really, really good defender at such a young age. I mean, he's pretty mature. He was able to play maturely, if you know what I'm saying. He wasn't overly fouling. He wasn't overly jumping for pump fakes, things like that. And I just, man, it's so tough. And honestly, I might hit at the end record and be like, damn, I should have said Con, but I'm going Cooper Flagg. We'll do one more and we'll take a little break. So next award up, we have Sixth Man of the Year. There's a lot of candidates for this award. I'm going to throw out all the names that I considered, and then I'll give you who I have. Like I said, AJ Mitchell is one of the guys I considered. Jaime Jaquez, he led the league He led all bench players in points. Yeah, I think he averaged 15, 5, and 5. Keldon Johnson, sixth man on the second team in the in the West, the Spurs. He completely turned his career around. Quite frankly, he was on the tanking Spurs a few years ago. I didn't really know what his impact or his spot was in the league. He was kind of playing a 2, 3, and a 4 role for them. And it was just kind of all over the place. He wasn't even particularly that good, and so I liked him, but I didn't really know how long he had in the league. He changed his game around. He became a really good 3-point shooter. He's catch and shoot guy. He can drive really, really well. He's one of the best drivers as a role player in the league. Quite frankly, he's an amazing rebounder. He's not much of a passer, but I think that he was a very good facilitating kind of guy. Did a little bit of everything that they needed him to, and I did value that. I think he was a winning player for the Spurs this season. Another guy on his own same exact team, Dylan Harper. I think that he could argue for sixth man on that team as well, and I think that he was so impactful as a rookie. I mean, like I said, the hyper efficiency, good counting stats as well. Not as high as other rookies or other six men, but that's kind of what took him out of the race for me. But again, great defense as well. Great facilitator, great passer. He kind of checks all the boxes I wanted. There was a few other guys, but to save all the rambling, Tim Hardaway Jr., a few other guys I can name. I went AJ Mitchell. I get I'm a Thunder fan. Call me biased. I don't care. Oh, wait. One more. I wanted to shout this guy out. I talked about it on Twitter the other day. Sandro Mamukelashvili. Mamu deserves some hype for this award, dude. I can pull up his stats as I talk about him, but he was awesome this season. The impact was so felt. I mean, I thought he was decent on the Spurs last season. I could tell that he was not better than decent. He was pretty good on the Spurs last season. I could tell that his he was getting better and better as his career was improving, but he was really, really good off the bench for the Raptors this season. I felt like he was a fantastic rebounder for them. His impact was every time I watched a Raptors game, I watched probably at least 30. He was I consistently felt his impact off the bench. I felt like he should have been starting at times. I really liked him this season. I think that he was a great interior defender. I think that he's a not a terrible passer either. He's a great rebounder. He really scored pretty well. He played in 80 games this season. Oh my goodness. Reed Shepherd, I think, was another guy you can shout out, but I didn't like how much I felt like Ime didn't even trust him. And if your coach doesn't trust you, I don't want to give you the sixth man award. Great efficiency from him. 64% on twos. He shot 38%, almost 38.9 on threes. Basically 64 true shooting. Averaged a 1.5 offensive rebounds a game. Man, half a block, almost a whole steal. He was a plus player for them this season. I just think that he was an impactful player for them, no doubt about it. And I think he was a low key guy to shout out. So just shout out Mamukelashvili. But the guy I have, like I said, AJ Mitchell. I mean, there's few guys who can lead an offense this young off the bench like AJ, and really he might be the number one guy. It's like Dylan Harper's up there too. I keep shouting out Dylan Harper. My goodness, I haven't talked about anybody else more than him apparently this podcast. AJ Mitchell, 49-7 when he played this season for the Thunder, 15-9 when he was off. When he was out this season, he had a few injuries. +6 on off for him, +16 net when he was on the court, +20 when he's with Shea. I said a couple months ago, I wasn't on this podcast, but I was saying it to a lot of my friends and stuff. I felt like Shea and AJ Mitchell were very arguably the best or one of the best duos this season in the NBA. I felt like they were such an impactful duo when they were on the court together. I never ever felt like there was a minute that they lost with them two on the court, and I fully expect AJ Mitchell to close out a lot of the playoff games for the Thunder this year, which is pretty insane to say for a second round rookie. Sorry, not rookie, a second round young player. What is he, year 2, 3 at this point? I think whatever. I'm blanking. Whatever. I'm sorry. +14. +20 with Shea, +14 without him. I mean, just such an impactful player. Elite defender. You can actually put him on opposing players, opposing team's best guy or second best ball handler, whatever. He's picking him up, far distances. He's great hands. He's really quick hands to get into passing lanes, into poke balls free, back taps, things like that. And like I said, a great leader, just a real a real facilitating, great passer, like a small guard who could pass the ball really well. He could shoot really, really well. Really knock down the 3-point shot at a great clip this season, and he can get to the rim. Like a few guys at that age can get to the rim as well as efficiently as he is able to. I just valued him in so many ways. I mean, a great catch and shoot guy as well. Every time he shoots a three, I just assume it's going in. He's that good at this point. And what is he on, a 3-year, $9 million contract? I mean, that might be the best contract in the NBA at the moment. I can't believe his agent signed that. I saw that he's he investor in Kalshi, which, to each their own. I'm going to hold my own opinions on that, but it makes sense. I mean, he is on a 3-year, $9 million contract. The dude is probably worth $20 million a year, so he's got to make his money somewhere else. But I mean, he just had a spectacular season. Really, just as much of a winning player off the bench as you could possibly get. And I get if you have other people. I mean, I think Jaime and Keldon Johnson are probably my 2 and 3. I think probably in that order. But I understand if you have either of those two. They had very impactful seasons as well. Jaime had the most minutes off the bench this season, so I get it if you feel that way as well. We can take a quick break and move on to Coach of the Year, Most Improved, and Clutch before we get into our All-NBAs. All right, so getting into Coach of the Year. This was an interesting race as well. Honestly, the guy that I've had for basically all the season, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't a close race. It just means that I think that this guy kept the number 1 spot for basically the whole year. A lot of it is because where I had this team projected going into the season versus where they finished this season. So I have Joe Mazzulla as my Coach of the Year. I had the Celtics projected as my 12th seed. I'll be honest. I had them as my 12. I did not think they were going to be a playoff team. I didn't trust Jaylen Brown as a number 1 option. I've historically been kind of a doubter of his a little bit. I think that he's at times has been very inefficient, a little bit shot chucky. The defense has always been, plus, but I just have always had some questions about him as a true number 1 leader. I've always felt like Tatum was the clear guy there as the 1, and he was definitely the number 2. But this season, man, Jaylen Brown just impressed me so much. So many guys on this team really did. Anthony Simons had a great impact for them in the first half of the season. I mean, Derek White was just amazing at times this season. Even when there was a few months where his shot just completely disappeared. He couldn't hit a single shot if you imagined it, especially a 3-pointer. But the defense never, ever wavered. Baylor Shireman became a extremely high-impact player for them. Peyton Pritchard had a fantastic season. Neemias Queta, one of the best rebounders in the NBA, one of the best interior defenders in the NBA, had a fantastic season. There's plenty of other guys. Ron Harper Jr., Rutgers legend, had a fantastic season for them at times, especially down the stretch. Luka Garza, impactful player, even though I've never been a fan of him because he tormented Rutgers at Iowa throughout college. But I think it was for 4 years too. Oh my God, I have nightmares about Luka Garza. But he was a very impactful player this season too. Which he wasn't even getting minutes for the Timberwolves last season. So for the fact that he was able to come here and get serious minutes and actually be impactful, shout out Joe Mazzulla. The defense, no matter who you put out there, was always good. They were always winning games. And I took their under a 41.5. I was very confident in that, and they completely smashed it. They were the 2 seed. They won almost 60 games this season, and they're going to be my pick to make the finals. I have another podcast coming out later this week, for who's all our playoff predictions, and they're going to be my finals team, I think. I think the Celtics really, Tatum's looked amazing since coming back. I just don't understand how that's even humanly possible to be this good coming off an Achilles tear. It literally makes no sense to me, but fair enough, I guess. But yeah, Jaylen Brown, even when he was very inefficient at times this season, they just didn't have guys that could get buckets a lot of the time for them, and it came down to Jaylen Brown, please save us. And he was able to do it more often than not. They really just, top to bottom, just impressed me. Their offense was so consistent throughout the season. Their defense never wavered. They were one of the better rebounding teams in the NBA. One of the best, honestly. One of the best offenses, defenses, and rebounding teams. Still very high 3-point rate, like always, because that's just how Missoula ball works. Man, they were a fun watch from start to end. Surprised me from game 1 to game 82. And the fact that they're the 2 seed, I have no reason to ever doubt the Celtics ever again, as long as Missoula, Tatum, Brown, whoever else, Derek White especially, is there. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say about Joe Mazzulla. I'll talk about the other candidates. My number 2 would be JB Bickerstaff. It was just another guy that I think, just the Pistons raised their floor way higher than people were expecting this season. Nobody had them as their number 1 seed, and for them to win the one, and not only win it, but like pretty convincingly, they were the only team in the East to win 60 plus games this season. One of 3 teams, the Thunder, Spurs as well. Just very impressive stuff out of JB Bickerstaff. Especially, I mean, your star player, Cade Cunningham, goes down with a collapsed lung for a month at the end of the season. And as if he was never on the team. Just, we're going to win without him. We're just going to keep in stride. We don't even, it's like you were running a marathon and you just like got your arm cut off or your leg. And you're just like, I'm just going to keep the exact same pace I was running. Like, I don't really understand how it's even possible, but they were great. I understand why it's possible, because Danish Jenkins is a demon. That's how. Shout out Danish Jenkins. I pulled up my standings here. I had the Pistons as my 4 seed. I locked their over 45.5. I was very confident that they would, win probably over 50 games this season. Hell, they won 60. I was not expecting them to be that good, but I did have a Magic over them, which I don't know why, because I was a Magic doubter, but they were just like, I just thought they would have not completely fell off from last year. I don't know. That was super dumb. I'm going to be smarter with my predictions next year. I'm going 30 for 30. All right. You better believe that. But yeah, I just think that J.B. Bickerstaff really just coached a hell of a season. Jalen Duren had a great season as well. Ausar Thompson was awesome this season. Duncan Robinson was good off the bench. I mean, Paul Reed was great for them. Isaiah Stewart was amazing for them this season. Like, Tobias Harris was good for them this season, right? He's like their 4th or 5th best player starting, and he was still very impactful. The only thing that I could like sort of complain about, it's a little bit nitpicky, is that I was hoping to see a little bit more out of Ron Holland, but whatever. I'm still not opposed. I'm still not out on his breakout for next season, but I was hoping to see it this season. Whatever though. And then, like the other 2 names that were in my head, Jordan Ott for the Suns. They really impressed me this season. I locked their under. I was so confident the Suns were going to be very, very bad. I had them as my 14 seed. 14. Below the Kings. 14. Yeah, and boy was I wrong. The Suns really impressed me. I mean, hell, they almost made the 7 seed. They're now competing for the 8 seed. We'll see whether it's Warriors, Clippers, whatever we talked about at the top of the show. The other guy would be Charles Lee. There's 2 more guys. Charles Lee and Mitch Johnson. Mitch Johnson really impressed me. I had the Spurs officially. I wrote them down in my standings as the 8 seed, but if you watched my standings predictions, Chase and I both said that we wouldn't be surprised if the Spurs are a top 3 or top 5 seed. We wouldn't be surprised at the bare minimum if they were hosting a playoff series, and they're 2 seed comfortably. They locked 2 seed with like a week left, but Mitch Johnson really was amazing this season. They just impact players from all over the place, and even when he decided to bench Harrison Barnes for Julian Champagnie, and then Champagnie broke the Spurs a single season all-time record for 3-pointers made. Like, that's a guy who wasn't even on the team last season, who was writing the DNPs for the Sixers. They cut him for no reason, and now he's the all-time leading threes leader for the Spurs in a single season. That's great coaching right there. And then Charles Lee, like I said, just a great turnaround for their season, realizing Musa was a better starting center than Kalkbrenner. They just started on a massive winning streak after massive winning streak, and I mean, they turned their season around from very far under 500 to over 500 at the end of the season, and they are now competing for the 8 seed. I really hope they get it. It would just be a great ending to their season to be able to make the playoffs, and probably next season they might be a top 6 seed, maybe 7 seed, but they should be better than the 10 seed. I would hope so. But yeah, my coach of the year goes to Joe Mazzulla. So we'll get into most improved now. This is a tough one. This is a tough one for sure. I guess it was tough to not give it to the other candidates. I'll say that. It was not tough to decide it, if that makes sense. like the winner is Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think most people have him as their most improved player, and because he's really the typical, like, the definition of the most improved player is what Nickeil Alexander-Walker was this season. He improved his points per game from 9 to 20, so an 11-point jump in points per game, which is unbelievable. And not only did he, so he went from the Timberwolves to the Atlanta Hawks this past offseason, and he went from like a bench player, mostly catch and shoot corner three, like hopefully the possession doesn't end in his hands, but it might have to kind of guy, to a bench player on this. He was going to start out on the bench on the Hawks, but then they quickly realized, oh shoot, this guy's really freaking good. We're going to trade Trae Young. We're going to start Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and we're going to go on a big winning streak. What did they win? 14, 15 in a row. They went like 17-1 or something like that at one point. They were just a great team. They really turned the second half of the season. The Atlanta Hawks were probably the hottest team. Them and the Hornets. And I mean, they were like battling. Both had like a 10-game winning streak, I think, at one point. Yeah, that was like at the same time. Yeah, just the Hawks had a great season, and really it was Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Insane efficiency. He got to the rim. He got to the rim at a crazy rate. He got to the line pretty well as well. I've never seen anything like this where a player over doubles their points per game and doesn't lose efficiency, but actually increases their efficiency. Like, he just got so much better across the board. And I can't say across the board because his defense certainly fell off a little bit, but like that happens when you take a double points per game leap. Your usage percentage, I don't know what his usage is, but it must have gone up by like 8x. Like, there's, like he is a potential, not even potential. He probably, if I make a like, preseason all-star team, like who I expect to be on the all-star team, which I'm not going to do that, but if I did for next season, he'll probably be on that team for the East. I think he is almost a lock for the all-star team next season, barring injuries or a random fall-off, which I don't really expect to happen. But his career is just like, it's absolutely most improved. I mean, he was almost out of the league like 2-3 years ago, and he's now, on a playoff team, not only playing a playoff team that he might be, leading them to a big upset over the Knicks. I don't know if I'm going to take it, but it's not unforeseen. The other candidates I had, I really, really wanted Ryan Rollins to win this award. He was my most improved for the first half of the season. I was pushing some Ryan Rollins agendas on Twitter, but I just couldn't get it done. I couldn't get there. I think the second half of the season wasn't as strong as the first half, and especially with Nickeil's breakout, it was just too strong to ignore. As a pretty clear winner, but Ryan Rollins, just a fantastic season. Went from like nothing to everything for the Bucks at times, especially without Giannis playing for extended games. A really weird season for the Bucks, and considering how much of a losing team they were, it's kind of also was a big factor of Ryan Rollins not being it. But he had just a great season, massive jumps across the board. Was a legitimate like high impact player for them. Was a great offensive player, had I think multiple 30+ point games throughout the year. I really enjoyed watching him a lot this year, and I don't really know what his outlook is moving forward, but I just I've just know that I've enjoyed watching him. A few other guys, Danish Jenkins was a name for me. I know people were saying Jalen Duren was a guy, but like those young players, lottery picks who are expected to get improved. Like, everyone was expecting him to be an all-star, all-NBA, like at least all-star caliber guy this year. And so I was just kind of like, whatever. Like, it was expected. Kind of like Booz Ellis. I project my preseason awards predictions. I picked Booz Ellis. I expected him to take a massive leap this season, which he didn't really do until the second half of the season. So like that. That's a big reason why he didn't win it. And I know he was one of the favorites going into the year, but I just thought that he was going to take a bigger leap than he did, and unfortunately he didn't. But that was just another guy that I had in my name, but in my head. But Danish Jenkins really impressed me too. I mean, he went from I think 8 minutes or like 10 or something like that last year to starting in a bunch of games this season, playing high impact minutes, closing out games for the Pistons at times. I mean, when Cade went down, like I said, for like a month, they had a winning record, and it was because of Danish Jenkins a lot of times. I mean, he had big 30-10 games and things like that. He was spectacular, no doubt about it, this season. I saw him play a couple years ago in 2023, the first UConn championship when they went back-to-back. I watched the round of 64 game. It was Iona versus UConn. I had no clue who played for Iona, right? I had heard of Walter Clayton Jr., but like that was basically it. And I knew Rick Pitino coached the team, but I was expecting to see a stomping by who I had winning it all, which was UConn. And I remember leaving that game, and I don't, I'm not. It doesn't matter. I went with some people that I knew at the time, and if you were to ask them today, like, did I say this? They would say I did. I remember saying, "Who is that about Danish Jenkins?" I was like, "This guy looks like he could play in the NBA." Like, I think he finished the game with like 15 points, and it wasn't extreme high efficiency because he's going up against Stefan Castle and Donovan Clingan and Liam McNeely and a couple other NBA players that are currently in the NBA. But like, he was taking really good shots. He was getting open, and he was playing decent defense as well. I remember it was an impossible win. Like, the Iona was significantly worse than UConn, but Danish Jenkins, I remember saying at the time, like, this guy is clearly a killer. And so I'm really happy to see him playing this well now. That's one guy that I've had my eye on for a while. And so, I feel like I can't take credit, obviously, but like that's just one of those things that like a little notch on my belt. Like, I kind of found him a little early, so that was a little cool for me. But yeah, NAW Nah is my most improved. And clutch player of the year, this is a quick one. It's Shai. The other candidates are like Cade, Jokic. Shai had the greatest clutch season ever. He averaged 6.5 points in the clutch, which is just unbelievable. He had the most clutch points in the NBA this season with 175. Keep this in mind. Let me just get in close. 175 points, right? 175. 7 total turnovers. 7 turnovers to 175 points. Do you understand how unreal that is? 175, what is that? That is 87 and a half if you're just going off 2-pointers, right? Surely there's plenty of step-back 3-point game winners. 2 of them against the Nuggets in one game in the span of 10 seconds, right? So not all those are 2s. But the amount of buckets that's 60, 70 buckets compared to 7 turnovers. I don't know how more impactful you could possibly be in the clutch, how much better you could possibly be in the clutch than you were saying here. The Thunder went 20-7 in the clutch, and so much of that turns to Shai, where the offense throughout the game, it's decently free-flowing. It's often the time through Shai, but, it's free-flowing enough. When you get to the clutch, 2 of you get to the right corner, 2 of you left corner, Shai, get to work. Step back middies, step back threes, get to drive to the lane. Whatever he wants, he got in the clutch this season. Basically every single time. Such a hyper-efficient clutch player. Crazy high scoring. I mean, he single-handedly led the Thunder to numerous wins in the clutch. Really just a dominant season. And there's not a single player in the NBA. Like I said, maybe Steph Curry, but like those moments happen less frequently now. There's really nobody in the NBA that I trust more to close out a game than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There's nothing else I really have to say about that. So we'll take another quick break, and we will get into our All-NBA. All right, so All-NBA teams, these were pretty tough to decide. A few different reasons. So the 65-game rule really messed these teams up. Devin Booker, ineligible. Anthony, which that's probably a second team at the most, realistically third team kind of guy. Anthony Edwards could have been on the first team, probably on the second team. He's ineligible. Cade Cunningham, he's putting in his exemption, trying to win some games back or whatever, but he's probably going to be ineligible. Luka Doncic led the league in points, multiple months with the most points we've seen since like Jerry West or something like that. He is 1 game short. He's putting in his exemption. Will it land? No clue. I'm interested to see if it does, but do I I kind of almost want it not to, and that sounds really haterish, but the guy got 16 technicals and got suspended for a game. Hey, if you don't get that 16th tech, which by the way, they even rescinded one of those techs, so he really had 17. If you don't get one of those techs, you don't get suspended. So maybe that's kind of a lesson he should learn. I don't know. But Shai, Jokic, Wemby, like we talked about. I put Luka on this list, and at the end, by the way, I do have Cade on this list as well. I'll tell you the two guys I would put on this list if they're not eligible, okay? My first team, Shea, Jokic, Wemby, Luka. The last spot's going to Kawhi for me. I've seen a lot of people say Jaylen Brown. I have Kawhi. And by the way, I said I have Cade on this list, not first team. Kawhi 28, 6 and 4, 63 true shooting percentage with a 14 and a half on off rating, plus 14 and a half. Just such an impactful player for them. When he was not playing, the Clippers, quite frankly, sucked. They were not a fun watch. They were not a good team. Like, they do not have consistent shot makers. They do not have a lot of good defenders. I mean, Chris Dunn was a great... I'll bring him up later, too, by the way. Like, Chris Dunn was a great defender this season, and Derrick Jones Jr. is usually a great defender, too, but he missed, like, 60, 70% of the season. So, like, it was Kawhi defending opposing teams' number one option and then being the only bucket getter on the other end, especially when James Harden got traded. Darius Garland missed like 2 months after that trade. Like, it was just Kawhi and friends. Then they trade Zubac too. Like, you traded the second and third best player on the team for nothing. You know, Benedict Mathurin. And so, like, and then Yannick Conan Niederhauser goes down, who he looked to be pretty promising, pretty good defender, good rebounder. He goes down for the rest of the season, and so the season just like went to the waste for the Clippers a little bit. But Kawhi was such a bright spot for them. I think this was probably his best offensive season, maybe his best season of his career, like since like 2019 at least. I just loved watching Clippers games this season. Like I really enjoyed tuning in for them, especially they're always the last game and they're always that late at night. And so like, yeah, I would, be doing my homework or something and be watching the game on my second monitor. Kawhi was just a cold killer this season. And I get that they're the 9 seed. So like, how much does he deserve it over a second seed Jaylen Brown or Cade or Donovan Mitchell or whatever? But like, I think Kawhi deserves the spot. He really, the impact was so felt for me. And when if he was not on the team, like if he wasn't on the team and you replaced him with somebody else, my goodness, this team, they might have won 20 games. This team stunk. So, and shout out Ty Lue. They go 6-21, and then he says, "Oh, we just got to go 35-20." And me and everybody else tweets how dumb you are. Like, Ty Lue, you're so stupid. No way you go 35-20. You just lost 20 games, right? They went 35-17, I think it was, like in the first 42 or 52 games after that. And I don't remember exactly what it was, like 36-19 or whatever by the end of it. But like, just ridiculous that he was able to call that shot and smash that at the park, right? Like he actually landed that shot. All respect to Ty Lue. I thought he might have been fired after the season. Build him a statue. That's what I say. Second team, Cade Cunningham, Jaylen Brown, Donovan Mitchell, Jamal Murray, Chet Holmgren. And the last spot to me, I was deciding between Chet, Tyrese Maxey, and Jalen Duren. I wanted to have a center, so that kind of ruled out Maxey. And then it was between Duren and Chet. And Chet's defense, he's comfortably the second best defender in the NBA. The second best rim deterrent in the league. Teams, opposing players shoot like 47% at the rim on him. He's the leader of the best defense in the NBA. He is one of the best shot blockers like in the league. It's just the things that happen to Wemby, take it like 2 notches back, and that's everything with Chet. Players don't go to the rim on Chet because he's that good of a defender. Players just don't enter the paint on Wemby, but it's like players don't go to the rim on Chet. People put up floaters, they take up fadeaways, they take dumb shots because he's that good of a defender at the rim. I don't think people really realize Chet's impact because they feel like the offense isn't necessarily all the way there, which I can understand. His offensive load isn't as high as other players, but this isn't always necessarily the greatest way to look at it, but like his defense is so much better than other players' defense, and a lot of times his defense is better than a lot of other players' offense. That like the offense is better than opposing team's defense, or opposing players' offense, or you know what I'm saying, right? Like the 2 is better than the 1, and his 1 is better than their 2. So like math is mathing. I'm taking Chet as the 5th spot. Jamal Murray, I mean, what an incredible season from him. When Jokic went out, I mean, they missed a few beats. Like they dropped some games here and there, but like they were winning. They had a I think significant. They were like 11-6 or something. Like they were considerably over 500, 11-7 maybe. And a lot of it was to Jamal Murray. I mean, he was putting up 30 and 10 like every night. It felt like I mean, he was the best pull up 3-point shooter by like if you combined every catch and or pull up shooter in the league this season, Jamal Murray's better. Like he was that good this season. He's so freaking good at the pull up 3-point shot or even like a midi. Jamal Murray had a spectacular season. He had and this is a crazy stat. His offensive rating was higher without Jokic than Jokic's was without Jamal Murray. That's how good of an offensive player Jamal Murray was this season. He really led this team at a lot of times throughout the season, and he took another leap up. I mean, this was his first All-Star, and I don't remember if he's made an All-NBA before, but if he hasn't, he's making my second team as his first one. Jamal Murray, just a spectacular season. Donovan Mitchell, he had one of his more efficient seasons. I think one of his most efficient seasons of his career. He had like one of the best mid-range shots, efficiency-wise of the season for any player in the league. And I just felt like his impact was very much so felt like across the board. He was awesome this season. I felt like they were like he really led that team in the first half of the season, and then obviously Harden gets there and the offense changes a little bit. But I feel like they dropped at times with that, like when Harden came over, like, especially the defense got significantly worse. But Donovan Mitchell was so steady throughout the season from start to end. I mean, he was awesome this season. I've always liked him. I've never been like a huge fan of him or anything, but like this season, I've really enjoyed watching him play. He was awesome. Jaylen Brown, we talked about it a little bit earlier with Mazzulla, but Jaylen Brown was so impactful this season. He took a leap up that I didn't expect that he was able to, even still with the efficiency problems and things like that. He still has a lot of nights where he shoots like 11 for 28 and things like that, where it's just like, okay, bro, like a few of those, I get you made the last 3 shots, but you don't have to take like the tightly contested, like kind of like lean back mid range shot. Like there was a better shot you could have taken, but he was still so good that like you'll live with those shots because of the other things that he's able to do for you. He was awesome, and without Jaylen Brown, they don't even get close to the 2 seed. So like he is a massive reason why they got to the 2 seed. And Cade, this is definitely the hottest take I have. He's not even a first teamer for me. I get that his impact was so massive for them. They were a huge reason why they got the 1 seed, but them winning consistently without him, and then also the 3-point shooting, which is left to be a lot desired. A lot of turnovers, which is a similar knock I had for Jaylen Brown. I just don't really like inefficiencies or high turnover rates, and that's kind of a similar thing for both of those guys. Cade is a great defender, and Jaylen Brown's a pretty good defender too, no doubt about it. But Cade, one of the better guard defenders, no doubt. But just the high turnover rate and like multiple nights where he would drop like 30 and he would have like 5-6 makes because he's like 6 for 20, but he has 10 free throws, and it's just like, I mean, come on, bro. Like, and it's actually way more than 10. It was like 15 plus free throws, right? Because it's like that math wouldn't work out. But Cade was awesome, no doubt, this season. But like, when you're looking for that last spot on All NBA first team, and that's something I really value. Like, I got a nitpick, and if it comes down to Kawhi's more efficient and turns the ball over less, then like that's what I'm gonna have to go with. And those are 2 things that I really value. And Cade was awesome, no doubt about it. He's like, I think if you have him first team, I'm not saying you're wrong in the slightest, but it was tough for me to put him there. And like I said, these lists are in order. Cade is my 6, so like he was right off the 5. But gotta have at least one hot take, right, guys? We can move on to the 3rd team, where I have Tyrese Maxey and Jalen Duren. Like I said, the last 3 spots go to Scotty Barnes, KD, Kevin Durant, and LaMelo Ball. So Maxey, I mean, yeah, really steadied the ship when Embiid was out for extended games at times throughout the season, even though Embiid played a lot of games this year. And then Paul George went down for 25 games he got suspended, and Tyrese Maxey just continued to cook throughout the year. I mean, he was just awesome. I know some Sixers fans were like complaining. I don't really know why about Maxey this year. I think Maxey was awesome. He like really helped them to like not lose a ton of games when 2 of their top 4 players were out. And I mean, he solo carried them through multiple wins. I watched like multiple times this year. Such a clutch player as well. Will always come up in the fourth quarter. You know it. He'll always have some, volleyball line three that he can hit. The dude's awesome. I keep saying awesome, but it's just like, it's a fact. These guys are cold killers, and it's so fun to watch them. So, sorry. Jalen Duren, I kind of talked about it earlier. He stepped up his game kind of across the board. Great rebounder, really good defender. Kind of just the epitome of a Detroit Piston. The Charlotte Hornets beef that they had. Like, he's really embodying the Piston, what it is to be a Detroit Piston. You got to be gritty. You got to be hard. You got to be like big as hell. You can't let people like little boy you, and nobody's little boying Jalen Duren. That dude is huge. Yeah, he had a great season. Just one of the best rebounders in the league. Like, no argument about it. The guy he's a very, very good player, and I like, it makes me think if he took up like this, it was a pretty big step up this year. I mean, he was a good player and had a great outlook on his career last year, but like, he took a big step up this year. How much better can he get? Can he extend? Like, he started even developing a mid-range a little bit this year, right? So it's like, can he and it wasn't it was inconsistent still because he's just developing it. But it's like, does that mid-range get better? How much better can he get? Because like, if he can extend out and you have to step up on him a little bit now, that could get a little scary. Scottie Barnes. This is one where I didn't have him initially. There were a few other guys I considered, but Jalen Johnson was in this spot, I'll be honest, and that would be the Cade replacement for me, Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson was awesome this year. There we go again. Triple doubles just like nightly for a few months there, and the second half of the season definitely turned down for him, and that's why I took him away. But like that mid-season mark, like from like December-ish to like, I'll say like mid-late November to like early February, he was all NBA second team. Like, he was like that good. So like, I feel really bad not having him on this list, and I don't expect Cade to get the exception. So we'll put Jalen Johnson in his place. How about that? We'll put him on the third team, move everybody up. Maxi's now a second team. Yeah. So yeah. But Scottie Barnes, he was a great defender this year. Really was able to defend 5s, 4s, 3s, 2s, even hell, 1s at times. Scottie is a great defender. He started putting up, like, he had like a random 3-week period where he's like, I'm just going to average 10, 12 assists every single game. So that was kind of weird. Like, he's just like a very unique player. He's a fun player to watch. He's kind of just able to do a bit of everything. He's a bit of a Swiss Army knife. He's just awesome. He's just, dude, he's a really, really good player. The shot was falling for him throughout the year too. He's big as hell, so he's able to bully you into the paint too. I really enjoyed watching Scottie. The Raptors were a good team this year. Brandon Ingram was just cold as hell this year. The dude was a killer. Just hitting game winners, like tough threes, contested shots. The Raptors, I have them losing to the Cavs, but pretty good team. They surprised me a lot this year. I mean, let's pull up the predictions, like I said. And I had the Raptors at my 11 seed. Yikes. So yeah, clearly I don't know anything. I guess I'm not a Volnar. And then LaMelo is my last spot. It's kind of what I talked about with Khan. I mean, the dude led the league, second in the league in threes. He really adapted his game. It kind of matured this year. LaMelo still has his boneheaded shots. He still has his like, what are you doing moments. But he impressed me in a lot of different spots this year. I mean, he got to the rim really well. A 3-point shot, like I said, second in the league. He finally was healthy, right? Like, that's a big thing for him. The defense still leaves stuff to be desired. I mean, we saw in the play-in game where like he hits a 3 and he's like going down the court, celebrating, doing whatever, and he gets a bucket scored on him by Davion Mitchell because he's still celebrating. He's not ready to play defense. So it's like things like that. You know, he takes a step back 3 from the half court line and he hits it, and then his next 3 has to be like the exact same thing. And like you see Miles Bridges being like, calm down, bro, calm down, because it's like you got to tell him that sometimes. Like, hey, you got a really good shot there, great job. Doesn't mean you got to do it twice. And so that's just one complaint I have about LaMelo. But I mean, the passing is just, you know, top of the league, good. The scoring was amazing. Was just spectacular throughout the season. And I really felt like he was like a more of a leader this year, which was something that kind of was left to be desired a little bit. Especially, I mean, the Hornets teams didn't they had nothing to lead in the past, quite frankly. But this roster, I mean, this past draft class was knock out of the park great, and then like just other pickups that they did and stuff. The Hornets really managed this season the best out of really anybody in the league. I feel like their roster change is leaves so much, like it's so much to be desired, but not in a negative way. Like I feel like there's such another like multiple steps for them to take, and it starts with moving on from Miles Bridges. We'll say that, but I think that team, they get a different four in there. They get another center. I like Kalkbrenner. I'm a big Moussa Diabate fan, but I just don't know if either of them are the true starting center. I think Moussa has to bulk up more to be a starting center. I think he can be, because I think he is that good. He just has to bulk up more. So it's like, how quickly can he do that? You know. But LaMelo, awesome. Oh, I didn't really talk about KD too much. I mean, I consider him to be the best Rocket. I think that he, I knocked him down to 13 because of like the burner stuff. I think there were some real locker room issues, clearly, especially after that happened. Like, guys started playing worse. Tart Eason couldn't even pray to hit a 3-pointer. He couldn't go on 2K and hit a 3-pointer with himself. That's how bad the shot got. He went from the best 3-point shooter in the league, shooting like 55% from, I think it was like 60% from 3, to like, I think he went like 0 for 29 or something at one point. Like, it was that bad. Sorry, Rockets fans, to mention 0 for 29. Maybe this was like 1 for 30, 1 for 31. Like, it was like he had like a 2-week stretch where he couldn't even pray to like look at the rim, right? So KD had to carry this offensive load just unbelievably amounts at times, especially in the clutch. Like, it's Sengun and him. I mean, Amen Thompson can't hit a 3, and all these injuries that they had with Fred VanVleet, Steven Adams. KD really had to step up big for them, and they're lucky they got the Lakers in the first round, because I think if they faced basically anybody else, it would be very ugly, and we might be talking about Ime Udoka on the hot seat. Let's get into all defense now. A lot of these guys I've already talked about. Chet, Wemby and Chet, I should say, in that order. Boom, boom. I have Derek White. I talked about him already. I think he had 100 blocks, 100 threes. I think it was only him and Wemby who did that. So those three I've talked about enough. You know, the best perimeter defender on the Celtics. Derek White was awesome this year. The third guy I have, Derek White was my fourth. Third guy I have is Ausar Thompson. My goodness, man, what an unbelievable defender. He can truly defend 1 through 4 at the least. He could guard 5s, no doubt about it too. And he's not, he can't knock the shot down. The offense is still up and down here and there, but the defense, man, if you play Ausar Thompson tonight, you better get a good night rest the night before. You better eat a hearty breakfast. You better get your protein shake in, because it's going to be a lot of wear and tear on your body. The dude picks you up from the court's 94 feet, right? He picks you up from like 100. He pushes you into the crowd somehow, right? You're back in the locker room getting dressed for the game, and he's still up on you. The dude has such quick hands. He's constantly poking at the ball. Like, if he was guarding me for the entire game, if I was some Steph Curry type and I had to guard him, like he was on me every minute I played, like I would get so frustrated. Like I would have to like keep my self-composure not to like push him, because it's just like, dude, get off of me. Like, he's constantly touching you. There's not a moment where you can breathe. I would hate to play Ausar Thompson. And that's the kind of that kind of stuff tells me like who I can, how. That's not necessarily the only way I grade my defensive teams, but like that goes into it, right? Like, Ausar Thompson's just a dude that you if he's on your team, he's your favorite player. If he's not on your team, he's your least favorite player. So yeah, that is my third guy. Derek White was my fourth. Rudy Gobert was my fifth. It was him and Scotty for me that were kind of flipping back and forth. And Scotty's my sixth guy. He's my first on my second team. Rudy Gobert was so impactful this year. The Timberwolves defense, quite frankly, was not very good this year. And like, when Rudy was on the court, they were significantly better than when he was off the court on defense. And I have to specify on defense, because Rudy Gobert on offense this year, yikes. really bad, but his defense was like unbelievably good. Was if he was a little bit more nimble, if he was able to guard more positions, he would very well be in the depoy conversation. And I was saying a few months ago, especially when Wemby was looking like he might not have hit 65 games, I was saying I might be pushing Rudy Gobert depoy agendas because he was that good. Joan Ballinger is like, he is a cool prospect. Maybe he could be a good guy down the line, but like Naz Reid, backup center, Julius Randle at the 4. Like, you really need a stalwart at defense on the 5, and Rudy Gobert is that. He still has the same presence like he has for the last decade of like, don't go in the paint, Rudy's there. And like this year, no doubt about it, it was like that. It felt like he almost turned the clock back a few years and like had his signature depoy level season. It's just there's a Wemby in the league now, so it's harder to win those depoys, especially for Rudy. He'll never win another one just because like the media hates him, and so like he'll never like the Wemby would have to like break his leg for him to, and Chet would have to like also break his leg for him to win a depoy. Hoping that doesn't happen, right? Knock on wood. Second team: Scotty Barnes, Bam Adebayo, Cason Wallace, Amen Thompson, OG Anunoby. So Scotty, I kind of already talked about. It's super versatile, stocks guy. Like just a fun watch all the way around. Rim defender and perimeter defender. There's not many guys like that. Bam Adebayo, one of the most versatile centers in the league. Like, this has been he's deserved this kind of award like over and over and over again. He had a great year. The offense was pretty great too. I mean, hell, he had 83 points in a game this year, right? I never made a video about that, but like, that was my favorite game I watched this season. Bam Adebayo's 83. I'll never ever say anything bad about that game. Amazing watch. I don't care. That was the funniest game I ever watched in my life. I'll never ever hate it. Cason Wallace led the league in steals at 150. Just like such a good defender. He picks the players up full court. I mean, Steph Curry literally doesn't play against the Thunder anymore because Cason Wallace single-handedly owns him. Like, I almost want to see the Warriors in the first round just to see what Cason Wallace could do to Steph. He just shuts him down completely. And it's not just Steph, it's any like smaller guard. It's most guards, honestly. They put Cason Wallace on opposing team's number one option. They're going to have a bad night. They're going to have their least efficient night of the season. They're going to struggle to get 10 points. It's like, there's not an easy bucket when Cason Wallace is out there. There's like, I don't think there's a single better player in the league at like constantly doing this, right? Like, just constantly poking the ball. Even if he doesn't touch it, he's just like getting his hand in the way, and he's always there. Like, you never get a single inch of breathing room. And there's another guy who was a really, really tough omission for me, in Stephon Castle, and he is a similar way. He picks you up full court. Like, it's just such an annoying player to play against. And you know that, like, there's another guy like that. Amen Thompson, just the best defender on the Rockets. They have this like a lot. They don't have a lot of other top tier defenders, especially like when Steven Adams went out. Like, he was a huge rebounder for them, and so they really needed to. They couldn't like rely on those like it's not even necessarily like an elite interior defender, but like they couldn't rely on like a secondary help kind of guy to like finish the job. So it was really Amen Thompson having to like lead this team on defense, picking up teams full court, being the primary defender in every single matchup. Like, that's the same reason why I'm about to talk about OG. You're the best defender on your team, and it's not even close. You have to go up against the opposing team's best player every single night without fail, and then still have an offensive impact, at least by 3-point shooting for OG, or just like being a general offensive player for the Rockets in Amen's case, like being an elite driver. The dude just puts his head down, and like there's few players, if any, that can stop that. He's relentless. And he also played the most minutes in the league. So did KD. I should have mentioned that. He played the second most minutes in the league. At least last time I checked. I don't know for sure if they finished that way, but I think they did. I meant just like high minutes. Like, this roster kind of sucks, so like they really had to rely on those two massively. And Amen was just he was a stalwart. He missed like very few games this year, and awesome defender, no doubt about it. And also a rim defender. I mean, the dude gets stocks like crazy. Then you have OG Anunoby, kind of similar to reasoning like I just talked about with Amen. He like just has to guard the opposing team's wing, big guards. You could put him on like a power forward at times. Like it's there are few players who are given bigger responsibilities on their team defensively than OG Anunoby. The Knicks have the worst defender in the NBA in Jalen Brunson, who I didn't really talk about earlier, and I'll talk about it a little bit now. I didn't have him all NBA because the defense was so terrible this year. I felt like his offense took a step back as well. The counting stats were significantly down from years past, and I just felt like the second half of the season he kind of just coasted a little bit at times. He still had his clutch moments and his signature highlights and stuff, but like there were just too many like down games, as much as you can say that, compared to other previous years where I couldn't have him be on All NBA. And similar to Cat was so inconsistent this year. It's kind of crazy not to have a Nick top All NBA. They were top 3 seed, but like I both of them combined were great, like and impactful. But like alone, I couldn't say that they were a top 15 player. Anyways, so yeah, and so you have the worst defender in the league in a starting lineup in Jalen Brunson. You have probably the worst starting center in the league defensively in Karl-Anthony Towns. So you have to have a elite wing defender in OG Anunoby to like make up for that, right? And they did. He shut down players like every single night, it felt like. And that's just another one of those guys, like if you have to go up against, that's not like it's gonna be really tough. Yeah. I do have a third team. We'll take a quick break and get right into it. All right, like I said, I have a third team for all defense. I know there's only 2. I like to do a third team. I don't care. And I'll just go over these quicker because less, it matters less. It's a fake team. Chris Dunn, perimeter defender, main guy on the Clippers, played like almost every game this season. Or like close to it. I think I could be completely lying, so I don't have his games here, but I feel like he didn't miss that many games. Really, really impactful, great defender this year. Underrated. Jaden McDaniels, similar to Chris Dunn, like primary defender, really had to step up when like Nickeil Alexander-Walker left. He was like their primary lengthy wing guy. Just like unbelievable. Like he really was a lockdown 3-and-D kind of guy for them this year. He stepped up on offense too. Jaden McDaniels had a multiple great stretches this season. Very impactful player. Dyson Daniels, I just couldn't put him on the top 2 because the Hawks defense kind of sucked this year. But there's a lot of reasons for that. Lack of interior defender. Jalen Johnson became a significantly worse defender this year. Their point guard room was not very good with Trae Young and CJ McCollum. Nickeil Alexander-Walker wasn't as good a defender. And Dyson Daniels, his steals dropped like by half. But I mean, he did average 3 steals a game last year, so you can't really expect that to happen. But like, I don't even think he averaged 2, or like it was around 2, which that was just a bigger drop off than I was expecting. So I had to knock him to 3 team. Evan Mobley, interior, like another great interior defender. I mean, he won DPOY last year. And so like he wasn't my DPOY. I had Amen Thompson as my DPOY last year. But like Evan Mobley had another great year. And then the last one was Stephon Castle, picks you up full court. Like I don't know, like he might be the absolute most of like you don't have a single second of breathing room. He's a ferocious defender. It was really tough not to have him. He would have been my 11th. Although I listed him last, whatever. He would have been my 11th. So like, it was a really tough omission to have him off, not on the top 2 teams. But Stephon Castle was awesome this season. The last, and that's all. That's the end of all defense. The last one we'll get into, and this is all rookie. We could talk about it a little bit less because nobody really cares about all rookie, if we're gonna be honest. Like I don't not care about it, but like the mass don't really care about it. So the top 4 we already talked about: Flag, Khan, D Harp, VJ. We don't gotta go over all of them, right? The last spot for me, it was tough because Rutgers fan, I'm really biased. I love Ace Bailey. I really wanted to put him there. I couldn't do it. I went Cedric Coward. Really stepped up big for the Grizzlies when they had the most injuries in the league, like a true plethora of injuries this year. Just every single player was missing games. I mean, they were calling up you, me, and your mom for every other game. Like it was, they were. I think they might have been calling up fans at halftime to get a, you can go in and get 5 minutes if you want. It was some ugly basketball being played in Memphis this year, but Cedric Howard was maybe the brightest spot. Him and Ty Jerome for the 10 games Ty Jerome played. He was like one of the highest in EPA for those 10 games. Cedric Howard was awesome this year. Really good rebounder, a plus passer, a good defender. He can score the ball really well. It just kind of did a little bit of everything. He's a real hustle player, a dirty work kind of guy. And I like those guys, especially as you're young. That's the kind of stuff that will get you minutes and will get you into a starting lineup in the future and everything like that. And he already was, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the dirty work stuff is the stuff that nobody wants to do. And if you're the young guy doing that, that will get you minutes. Cedric Howard just kind of filled the stat sheets a little bit. And I think that he was very impactful for a losing team, but impactful in a positive way. Like, one of very, 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 very few players you could say that for the Grizzlies. So that's my first team, all rookie. My second team, all rookie, I have Ace Bailey, Maxime Reynaud, Colin Murray Boyles, Derek Queen, and Hugo Gonzalez. So tough omissions. I know my guest. I went all of these things we went over already. He had Will Riley, which I kind of respected. That wasn't a pick that I really considered, but I liked the pick. I would have considered Trey Johnson before Will Riley, but Will Riley was awesome to close out the season. I think he had back-to-back 30 balls. He really closed out the season like really, really well. Derek Queen had, and so I try to value like full season consistency, but second team all rookie is kind of just whatever, in the sense that like not whatever, but I mean in the sense like that criteria doesn't matter as much, is more so what I mean by that. And so like Derek Queen was really good for the first half of the season. He might have been contending for first team all rookie, but the second half of the season, they started to play him less. He, was benched more, was not even playing at times because they started to try to win more because Atlanta has their pick. But Derek Queen was really good for the first half of the season, was a really good facilitating big. The defense wasn't as bad as people were saying, at least I felt like based off the eye test. He scoring wise was pretty good. Rebounding wasn't bad either, and I think that he was just like, he showed promise for the future. I liked Derek Queen a lot coming into the NBA. I liked him at Maryland a lot. He was one of my guys, and so that like it wasn't as bad as I was as other people were saying it was, or as people were saying it was going to be post trade. I still think the trade wasn't good. At the moment, when the trade happened, I wasn't as negative on it as other people because I like Derek Queen a lot. Obviously, the trade at this point, the Pelicans were way worse than I was expecting. I thought they would have been a 10 seed and maybe made the playoffs, and so like that that makes the trade worth it. But if you're going to be the 12 seed or whatever they are, like, you can't do that trade then, man. CMB, Gamecock legend, was a ridiculous interior defender, blocked shots, like 50-plus blocks this season as a rookie, off the bench a lot of the times. It was him and Scotty down low. I mean, he was playing like a fake center kind of role, even though he's more of like a 4. His fit, I'm still really questioning where he fits on this team because Scotty can't really play a 3, and he's not big enough to play a 5. So Scotty really is a 4. Like Scotty's a perfect traditional 4. But then where does CMB fit? He's too small to be a 5. He's not a good enough scorer and shooter to be a 3. He's too big to be a 3, realistically. He's not like agile enough. So his fit is strange. But like maybe he's the backup 4. Maybe he's a switch 5. I don't really know. But like a small ball 5 or something. But I think that he was an impactful player. I really liked his defense. I really valued it this season. I think that he is one of the best young, promising defenders, at least interior-wise, in the NBA. So he lands on my second team. Ace Bailey, my goodness, what a knockdown shooter. The first few months was he took a little bit longer to get going, especially compared to the ridiculous rookie class that we have of Cooper Flag, the top 4, the top floor. Khan, VJ, Dylan Harper. All 4, and Cedric Howard, he was amazing to start out the season too. Like all 5 of them were ridiculous to start out the season. Ace Bailey was like he took a little bit longer, but the second half of the season was really, really good from him. He started to make some really tough shots like every single night, just fadeaways and pull up threes and all this stuff. The defense was not bad at all. Ace Bailey has never been a bad defender. I stand on that. He's a great rebounder. The passing wasn't even as bad as people were saying it was in Rutgers, which, by the way, Rutgers' team was terrible. So who was he passing to besides Dylan Harper? So, like, I don't blame him for not passing in college. And he was not a bad passer in the NBA so far. And, yeah, I just think that Ace Bailey was an impactful player on a losing team, but in a non-negative way. Mostly, like, he had his inconsistencies, but that's what a tough shot making rookie does. You know, you can't expect them to go 100% from the field every night. You can't expect them to be a plus 20 every night, especially on a losing team. And then the last one, Maxime Reynaud, second half of the season, really turned it on. Post Sabonis injury, got the starting spot, did not look back. 30-point, 15 rebounds. He could pass the ball really well, scores down low well. Just a elite touch for somebody of this age, a good rebounder. Defense is, but second team all rookie. You don't need to be perfect. I think the Kings fans deserve something to be happy about. And that one podcast that makes videos singing, parodies to Drake songs and stuff, and they keep saying Maxime deserves to be all rookie team, and I deserve it. I agree with them. I think they deserve it. So yeah, he's got my second team spot. Last person we'll talk about is Hugo Gonzalez. Led the league in was it net rating for the first half of the season. Such an impactful player, a late first round pick, which initially was going to be a draft and stash. At least that's what it was being reported as. And then he came over, not only stayed in the NBA, but and wasn't a two-way player or anything, but actually was a very impactful player for them. Very good defender. Can knock a shot down, as a big hustle guy. Hugo was I really like playing. I like watching him this year. And the second half of the season, he started getting more, he saw his minutes decrease a lot. Even saw some DNPs. But especially when Tatum came back, he filled he didn't fill the role, but he kind of filled the spot on the roster. And so once Tatum came back, they didn't need as many forwards. I get it. But Hugo was very impactful so quickly, especially for the expectations I had, which were to the floor. I didn't expect him to do much at all this year, and so he really impressed me a lot this year. He got a fan in me. Celtics have a lot of good players. They got a nice roster. They got a good future. Hugo Gonzalez, all rookie team to close it out. So that's all my awards. I'll probably post some sort of graphic or something on Twitter to have all my awards on it. But that's my award show. I'm going to be coming on later this week to do a playoff predictions show. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But until then, this is an hour and a half. Nice, not too long. Comment, subscribe, do it all. It's helpful. Trying to get to 50 subscribers. We're at 35 or 34 or something. So yeah, leave a comment down below. Which award did you disagree with? Probably Rookie of the Year, right? Did you have Con Knipple, and tell me why? Who's winning who was your favorite team to watch this year? I said it was the Hornets. Who was yours? Who's winning the finals this year? That's probably a comment for the next video, but let me know down below. So until next time, this is the Ball Knowers Podcast signing off. Thanks for watching.